everyone, and welcome back to my channel, Tomcat Stitchery. I'm Whitney, and I'm here with part 1 of the McCall's 8011, my partner, 8011 Sew Along. So I think we're going to be able to finish this one in three takes, in 3 parts. Maybe even less. I might make them a little shorter. The last sew along we did, which was the V1643, they were very lengthy 4-part series. I mean, that was needed because it was more of a tailored coat. This one is almost like a scaled down jean jacket, almost. I'm going to be using a thrifted leather jacket, which we're going to go over and take a look at here in a second and how I'm going to do that. And then I just kind of wanted to talk about the supplies because we're going to be using leather, some of the different things that I'm going to be using. All right, first off, really, sewing with leather is not that hard. Don't let it get into your head. Yes, technically, you don't want to rip seams out because it's skin. And the same goes for pleather too, even if you're using like a vegan leather, because once you've pierced a hole, it's there. Now some of the vegan leathers will kind of, and even the regular ones, will kind of go back a little bit, so don't completely freak out. If you have to unpick a seam, you have to unpick a seam. You don't want to unpick a seam a million times because you are creating weakness in that seam, and you could damage the area and cause it to be easier to rip. But seriously, when I made my first leather coat, I was at my sewing retreat and I was really nervous about sewing it in, and I got to the part where I needed to set the sleeve in, and I was very nervous about it because at the time I wasn't setting in sleeves was not as second nature as it is now. And I was like, oh my gosh, I can't pin it because you have to use the clips, blah, blah, blah. Joyce, my mentor, who I've talked about on this channel before, literally grabbed it out of my hand and stuck pins in the leather. And I was like, oh, you can't pin the leather. She's like, just pin in the seam allowance. You're fine. It's just leather. You're fine. And the sleeve went in fine. So I feel like a lot of these types of sewing projects, we get into our own heads and then become terrified, and it's fine. So just remember, it's fine. Especially if you're using I'm using a thrifted leather jacket. Like, that's even more fine. What am I out? The $5 that I paid for it? I mean, I don't want to ruin it, and I think I'll have enough to do a little something else with it as well. We'll see. I think that a lot. It's surprising how large of a men's item I need to like make myself something brand new if I'm using pattern pieces, other than just altering. But anyway, okay, M8011, I'm going to be doing actually view C, except I'm going to do, I haven't decided actually. I'm still on the fence. I need to make this decision right now, actually, if I want to do the collar or just the collar stand. I think I'm going to do the collar because I have a leather jacket that's like a shorter one, like a hip-length leather jacket that has just like a collar stand. It's a lighter color, but I want this to be a little different. So I think I will add the collar to it instead of the collar stand. So yes, I'm going to do the collar. View C. Which is very simplistic. I'm not going to put the chest pockets, which you totally could do, only because I really very rarely need to put chest pockets on my boobs. There's just less is more there. But for the most reason, I'm using this thrifted jacket that I'm going to try and incorporate the welt pockets that are already there in the front of the jacket and keep those functioning. Now they're going to be huge because it's a very large men's jacket, but I think I'm going to kind of like that proportion, play around with it a little bit. And there's also some seams in the leather on this jacket that I'm going to have to leave as is. So I've got that as well. It's going to be kind of like matching up stripes a little bit to make sure that I'm putting the pattern pieces in the right place. So it's going to be interesting. But anyway, you don't necessarily need clips. You could use the Wonder Clips. I'm sure they're wonderful. Or you could use binder clips. I have used all. Or you can just pin in the seam allowance. Okay, so there's that with leather. Okay, the other thing that you're probably definitely going to want is a special foot. Now for my industrial machine, I use a Teflon foot. So this is like a Teflon plastic. It just slides over anything. I used this when I was sewing. It helps things from like moving. So and it doesn't stick. So I use this for leather, pleather. I'll sometimes use it for things that have a high pile, like a thick corduroy, or things that I want to try and not shift as much as possible. I just don't want it catching. I used it for the soft shell when I was sewing my Kelly Anorak. But I would recommend a Teflon foot, a roller foot. So that's just a regular foot, and it's got like a little roller on here that will help. Or when I was sewing my first leather jacket, I did it on my regular home machine, and I just used the walking foot, and that worked a ton better than the Teflon foot that I had for that machine. So if you are using a machine that can do a walking foot, that's actually my favorite. Now this is fine on my industrial machine. My industrial machine can just sew through anything. I much prefer it with leather. But if you're on a home machine and you have a walking foot, hands down, that's what you want to use. It will keep everything from shifting and from, you know, pulling and that kind of thing. Hold on, I just dropped something. Okay. Next, you're gonna want a leather needle. I've got some industrial leather needles here, and the reason for that is a leather needle is shaped differently than a regular needle. It's like a triangle. It's like not a triangle, because triangle's two-dimensional, so like a pyramid, I guess, but it's triangular, and it actually pierces a hole into the fabric and creates room. So you will definitely want a leather needle. That's gonna make a gigantic difference, especially when it comes to you know, skip stitches and that kind of thing. You really want a leather needle. And you're gonna wanna up your stitch length a little bit. Sometimes, you know, typically I sew it like a 2.5, but with leather, I'll probably pump it up to a 3. Number one, it's a thicker material, so it can handle the little bit longer stitch length. And number two, just getting through all of those layers and stuff, it just works a little better. So I will be sewing this jacket with a 3mm stitch length. Okay, we'll talk about that in a second. The other thing, Wonder Tape, or any kind of double stick tape, is fantastic. This is actually not Wonder Tape. I don't have any at the moment. I've ordered some, but just double stick tape. This stuff would work too. This has to be ironed. But Wonder Tape, you don't have to iron it. You can just set it down, you know, press it down with your fingers, you pull the paper off, and it will stick. This is great for hems. This jacket has like two not facings, it's got bands that kind of fold around and then you top stitch them down. And this will be great for that, for sticking that down to keep everything in place, because you really don't want pins if you're doing top stitching, because number one, the pins can distort, number two, it might leave a hole. So the Wonder Tape is perfect for that kind of thing. Also, when you're attaching the collar to the jacket, the Wonder Tape will be wonderful for that. For more traditional with leather, I have some all-purpose rubber cement, basically. You can glue your leather. A lot of people, I mean, this is like the industry standard, is to glue hems and that kind of thing to keep them flat, because you really can't, you can't press leather. I mean, you can, but it's leather. So a good, and you can just use like Elmer's rubber cement if you want to. This came from Wall Whack, and I actually haven't used it, mostly because it's really stinky and yeah, and it's probably toxic. But I haven't used it yet. I haven't really seen a need. I mean, the Wonder Tape I think works fine with leather. So, but you can use rubber cement if you are so inclined. That is the more traditional way of treating leather goods. Okay, so yes, definitely Wonder Tape. I also talked about, I'm going to line my jacket because I am making it out of real leather, and so it's suede on one side. And I'm not like bagging a lining. It's like a mix between lining and underlining the jacket. And so I'm gonna be doing some of the steps of this jacket out of order in order to make this happen. But basically, I'm gonna create the jacket body and the lining body, and then I'm gonna base them together at the sleeves, neck, and front, and hem, because that all gets finished off with a band that gets sewn on, or a collar, or a cuff. And so then they're just gonna be sewn as one at those points. So I'm making a lining for this is gonna be super easy, because we're not gonna have to add in any jump ease or whatever. It's gonna be kind of like an underlining in a sense. So we'll get to that more in just a second. But the last thing is, this jacket has buttons down the front, which you could totally do. I would recommend maybe a jean button, just because those have a really high shank, and so it'd be easier to actually button the jacket. Or you can use snaps. Now, I really like the heavy duty snaps by Dritz. And let me see here. These are a size, let me pull this out. I do enjoy these, and I use these for a lot of projects. But these are the Dritz heavy duty snap fasteners, and it's the 98138. Is that gonna focus? There it goes. And basically you have to buy the little tool, unless you already have it, but you buy the little tool, and then, let me show you what one looks like here. So this is the little tool that comes with it, these two metal pieces. You have like a little anvil, basically, that's your solid surface, and then you have this little guy, and you hammer on the top of it. So your snap side sticks through the material, and then you set, maybe, once that's gone through the material, you set this piece, that's the snap, the female snap, it gets set on top of it, and then you just basically stick that on there and you hammer it, and then the hammer will hammer these little pointy things around into the groove of this. And then the same thing on the other side, you just have the round part here, and then the male part, and those get fit together the same way. Now, the problem is that I've used these a ton. I've used them on jean jackets, I've used them on a corduroy jacket and that kind of thing, but you have to be able to push these little prong things, can you see those, through the material, which can be a little, I'm just assuming, can be a little problematic with leather, just because that's going to be a little thicker. And so I've recently made the Kelly anorak, and I used spring snaps. Now, the problem with these, which is why this is a good alternative, is that you need a special tool, and I got my special tool when I ordered the Kelly anorak hardware kit. I haven't been able to find, I can find the spring snaps on Wallwack's site, and I will link them down below, but they don't have these, they don't have this hardware to attach them. They just have the big like rivet press or the snap press that you have to buy, which is like $180 or $200 or something. It's these two pieces. It's this little piece here, and then this piece that has the hole at the bottom, and this came with my Kelly kit, and then I can just reuse that with these, I can buy the snaps from Wallwack. And so this one, I just have to make one hole, so this just gets stuck through one hole, and I can use an awl to do that, and then it's a matter of hammering. But again, I don't know where else you would find these tools other than buying them with the Kelly anorak hardware kit. And if you want to do that, that's fine. Actually, it's come in quite handy. And if you're going to make a Kelly anorak, you could just buy all the stuff, because these little pieces, these little metal tools are reusable. So and I'll put a link down below to the refillable spring snaps that I use from Wallwack. Okay, that is it. Let's go over to the table and take a look at the leather jacket, and we will talk about that and how we're going to cut out our pieces and how I'm going to disassemble the leather jacket, and that's going to be what we cover today. Okay, I will see you guys, well, I'll see you guys next week, but then again next Sunday for part 2 of this video. Have a good one. Bye. Okay, first things first, I have my pattern. I have it all cut out here. We'll go through that in a minute. I want to talk about using an existing thrifted leather jacket. All right, this one is very large. I have no idea, there's not a tag in it. I don't know what size it is, but this thing is huge. It takes up like my whole cutting table. So what I'm gonna do, number one, I'm gonna cut off these buttons, because these are really good buttons, and those are gonna go into my stash for a future project. There's 4 of them there. And also, they've got, the little protective buttons on the back to help keep the thread from pulling through. I'm going to save those in my stash too. But what I'm going to do first is I am going to take my scissors, and I'm actually just going to cut along the seam here, because I can. I'm not going to be eking things out with this, but I'm going to cut the lining out just with a pair of scissors all the way around the edges of this jacket. Now I am going to come to a point. Oops. I'm sending my pattern off the table. Right here where we have this welt pocket that this is cut into. I actually think, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cut along the seam, and I'm gonna cut the facing off too. So I'm gonna cut right around here. Now, this will be attached to the front with the buttonholes, but we can kind of just get creative in our cutting. So basically, the goal is to separate the lining from the body of the jacket with doing the least amount of damage, but there's no need to unpick it because that would just take forever. And again, I'm gonna salvage the buttons, and then we're gonna cut, you know, pull out the sleeves and everything, because I'm gonna try and reuse the lining as well as using the leather. So I'm gonna go do that real quick, and then I will come back and we will talk about cutting the jacket apart so that we can cut pattern pieces out. Okay, I have the coat separated from the lining, and guys, the more I get into this, the more I think this might have been a handmade coat. This is a kashi lining. It is the satin on one side, flannel on the other. I mean, it's the weft interfacing. I don't know. I don't know why I feel like, I mean, there's no tag anywhere in this jacket. And it just, I mean, it's beautifully done. I'm feeling a little sacrilegious cutting into it, to be honest. Anyway, okay, so what we're going to do next is I am just going to cut along the seam line here, and I'm going to cut the front away from the back. And I'm going to have to cut through, I'm going to cut, you know, here the shoulder line, and I'm going to very carefully kind of cut this collar away. So I'm going to cut the sleeves off, and I'm actually going to cut the sleeves flat as well. So I'm going to cut the sleeves off, and then I'm going to cut probably up this underarm seam because it's not been top stitched. And so I can have my sleeves flat for laying out, because we have it's a two-piece sleeve. But because this jacket's very simple, it is two fronts, obviously, a back, and then it's a two-part sleeve, and then there's the cuffs, the front band, and the bottom band, and then the collar and or collar stand. And it may determine how much leather I have as to whether I do the collar stand or the collar. So I'm still waiting to decide on that. But yeah, that's what I'm going to do. So I've literally just taken a pair of scissors and cut out the lining, because I'm going to actually try and use the lining for the inside of the finished coat that I'm making. So I'm just going to set it aside for now. So yeah, I'm just going to cut from the seam allowance, or the side seams. I'm going to cut the front of the coat basically from the back of the coat. I'll cut off the sleeves, then I'll cut the side seams to cut the front away from the back, and then I will cut the shoulder seam, and then kind of, you know, cut whatever part of the collar needs to be cut to get the back apart from the front. Okay, and then we will come right back, and I'll talk about the pattern next. Okay, so I've got all of my pieces disassembled. I have the fronts, I have the back, and I've got the two sleeves. That's all I've cut. The collar's kind of all mangled. Pieces. We've got the bottom band here. This is piece number 12. This is really long. I am most definitely going to have to piece this. So we'll just make it look good, and I'll figure that out as we are putting things onto the jacket. The front band, I need 4 of these. I mean, this is going to be tight, which it always surprises me, but it will. This will be tight getting everything out of this. We've got an undersleeve and an upper sleeve. I've done a full bicep adjustment on the upper sleeve. I added 1.5 inches. The bicep for the size 14 is 14 inches, and I like mine to be 15.5. So, excuse me. So I added 1.5 inches full bicep adjustment to the top part of the sleeve. You've got the cuffs, and I think I have to have, yeah, just 2 of the cuffs. Just 1 of these, right? Oh no, I have to have 2 of these, number 12. So we're gonna have to get creative. And then here's the collar piece that I need 2 of on the fold. However, I may switch this out just for the collar band for UB, I think. I haven't decided yet. We're gonna see what we have room for. And then we've got our front and our back. So those are the pieces we're playing with. It's a pretty simple coat. I'm gonna cut out the fronts first because I want, we've got, I'll show you over here, there's seams that run across the front of this coat. I want to include the welt pockets in the front, and I want these seams to match up across both. Now this is leather, so you don't have a grain line, which actually helps huge when you are cutting things out. But I do want this seam to match across the front, and you always have to cut out single layer when you are cutting out your leather. So don't forget to flip your pattern pieces over when you're doing that. Okay, so we're gonna get real creative and get things laid out. I'm gonna put you on the tripod and then kind of talk to you while I'm laying pattern pieces out on top of the leather. Okay, so I've got the back piece here. Now this piece needs to be cut on the fold. So very simply, what I'm going to do is just line up the fold line to this seam that's in the back. And I'm gonna cut one side and then I'm gonna flip it over and finish cutting it out. And I wanna utilize all the leather I can, so I'm taking the top of this shoulder right up to the seam of this yoke. Now you're gonna dull the living daylights out of your rotary blade, but I find a rotary cutter is the best thing to use. So yeah, I'm just going to cut this out real quickly. Okay, and just like that, we've got our back piece and it is all cut out. So again, it's gonna have this seam back here, that's fine. I'm gonna put this aside. Oops, didn't quite get through there. I've marked my notches, I've just clipped very slightly into the seam allowance. There's my back, and I'm gonna use this pattern piece again to cut out the lining, but for now we can set this aside. I wanna get all the leather cut out first. So yeah, so the back is all cut out, and now let's talk about the front. Okay, so we are gonna grab this front. One of the fronts. Now again, this still has its facing attached to it, but I want to try and utilize this welt pocket. So luckily we can see through our pattern pieces. So what I'm going to do is kind of decide where I want this pocket in my jacket. I'm actually going to scoot it over almost to the side seams that are there. But what I want to be careful of is that I'm not cutting the pocket bag that is already there. So I'm gonna kind of fold that under and out of the way a little bit. Makes it a little bumpy, but I don't want to accidentally cut into that. Again, there is no grain line on leather, so you can just have at it. Okay, once I have kind of decided where I want my piece, I'm gonna put my weights down. But before I do any cutting, I want to mark on the pattern exactly where the welt pocket is and where these seams are, the bottoms of these seams, so that I can easily match that up to the other side so that both of my sides match. So I'm just going to take a pen and I'm going to mark the bottom of the seam there, bottom of the seam there. I'm going to feel the edges of my welts. So I know kind of where the welt is as well. Okay, once I've marked all of those on here, I'm going to cut this out and I am going to mark my notches. I'm not going to worry about the pockets because I'm not putting the pockets on mine. So I'm just going to cut this out real quick. So then there we have one front and my pocket stayed attached. Yay! Now, I may have to go, when I'm sewing this, the pocket bag is going past the front, which obviously you don't want, which is just a matter of me sewing this pocket bag much smaller, which is fine. I can easily do that. And then trimming off the excess, and then we should be good to go. So I could trim all that off. So my pocket will be much smaller, but I'm fine with that. But we'll do that in the construction sewing process. So there's one front, and now I'm going to cut the other front. And I also had a thought. I'm really worried that my bottom band, I'm not going to have enough leather to do the bottom band. So if that's the case, the cropped length on this jacket, which I'm not doing the cropped length because you cut quite a bit higher up for the cropped length, but it does not include the band. So I may finish off the bottom without the bottom band if I cannot get it out of the leather. So we're just going to kind of go with it here and see what we got. But this is all part of using thrifted materials. Sometimes you got to get creative, which is kind of the fun. It's the challenge. Okay, so now I'm going to cut out the second front. And I could just lay this front on top of this other front to get it exact. But because the leather is kind of bulky, I'm just going to use the pattern piece. And again, I'm going to fold that up out of the way. Don't want to accidentally cut into that. And I make sure you want to flip it upside down. And I'm going to match my lines and my pocket. Because again, because this doesn't have a grain, oh, that's perfect, just like that. Okay. Okay, so if I put these two on top of one another, they should match up pretty well. Oh, they do. I love when that happens. My seam lines, they match up just perfectly, so that's going to be a nice long line right across the front. Feeling good about this so far, folks. Okay, so now we can put this aside, and now we're going to cut out our sleeves, and then we're going to see what's left over to get the rest of our pieces out of. I would also like to state another way that you could do this is to turn the leather over onto the wrong side, and you could actually trace around your pattern pieces if you aren't comfortable with just using pattern weights. That is definitely acceptable. I have written on the back of many a leather hide, and actually there's writing on the back of this one when I got it all taken apart. Okay, you'll also notice if you're using thrifted leather, this has been stretched because of the sleeve, the nature of bending the arm. That's okay. That's just part of the nature of leather. And we're just going to go with it and figure it out as we go along. Now, I was noticing we're going to be cutting it really close with this sleeve. It also helps, you know, keep it oriented, kind of the way. You know, like I wouldn't want to use this sleeve and flip them over. It would be harder to fit on. And you can kind of tell just by messing with your pattern pieces. So we'll flip it over on the other sleeve. So first things first, I think I'm going to cut out this upper sleeve. And then because we don't have a grain, we're going to kind of finagle the under sleeve here on the sleeve pattern. So, really quickly. Okay, there's my first upper sleeve. I'd also like to point out that I shortened these by 1.5 inches as well because I have short arms, so you want to keep that in mind as well. Now I did have some length to play with. It's still here, but I'm kind of hoping we can use that for something else. We'll see. So you can just kind of play around and make it fit. I mean, I could leave some of this seam in here It's just the bulk. I would like to try and get rid of as much of the bulk as possible. But I think we're going to have to play ball with it. And we're going to call it a design detail. Okay, on this undersleeve, I want to point out that there is a circle, a dot right here that we do need. I clipped into it at the upper sleeve. But I'm just going to turn this over, and I'm going to take a pen and just barely pop it through there so I can just mark that dot on the wrong side. Actually, I'm going to get a ballpoint pen. That'd be easier to see, and then it won't you can use a Sharpie on leather too. Okay. Alright, so there's one set of sleeves. So now I'm going to do the other set of sleeves. Remembering to turn everything over because you don't want 2 left sleeves or 2 right sleeves. You want one of each. Okay, now we have all the main pieces out. We've got the front, the back, and the sleeves all cut out. So now we're going to try and piecemeal the rest of this leather together to get the other remaining pieces cut. So let's see. We're going to set aside these pattern pieces because that's going to get cut out of the lining. This is all that will get cut out of the lining. The front, the back, the sleeves, and then everything else is just the leather. So let's see what we can finagle here. Okay, so here's all of my leather scraps that I'm going to be picking from. Now, this bottom band, I'm going to set it aside because I have to cut 2 of these for the pattern. And again, the pattern can be made without the bottom band, so that's one that can definitely go. I need the sleeve cuffs, I need the front band, and then we're going to see if we have enough room for the collar. If not, I'm just going to go get the other pattern piece for the band. So I've got two fronts and a back. There we go. And these are all scraps. So first things first, I've got the yoke here on the back, and I think I can get, I have to have 4 of these, don't I? Holy moly. Okay, I think this is what I'm going to be able to do. I think I can get 2 front bands out of the yoke and then 2 front bands out of the hem here. I think I can get, we're going to have to omit the bottom band, definitely. I think I can get 2 cuffs out of the bottom of each of the fronts. Yes, I can get a cuff out of each front. And then it's going to be a matter of using the collar. I'm wondering if I could even use the previous collar and just not have to sew a new one. I don't know if that will work or not. We'll see, but I will have to use the collar pieces to get the collar or the well, the collar or the collar band out of that. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to unpick, and this yoke has a seam that, and it's some creative top stitching. It's going to leave some holes, but I think that if that's the inside band, because these 4 bands that I have to cut, one's going to be like the front band, the inside, like a facing. So I think I could put that as one of the inside facing pieces possibly. So I am going to go get my seam ripper and unpick this really quick. And then we're going to get real creative. And again, I'm going to have to omit the lower band. That's fine. We can make do with that. Okay, let's do this. Okay, so my battery is flashing, but I just want to go through what I've done. So I've got my sleeves cut out in lining fabric and in leather, and the lining is cut out exactly like the leather. The same with the back and the front. The lining is cut out same length and everything as the leather. We're going to have to add a hem, but we'll get to that when we can. I was able to get 2 cups that are actually already interfaced because that's what the previous jacket was. And then 2 or 4 of the front bands have been done. And then I'm playing around with the collar band here. This is actually the collar of the jacket that I've kind of cut, and we're just going to kind of make this work as we are making the jacket. That is one of the things of using a thrifted jacket for the leather. You have to kind of go with it and fix problems on the fly. So there we have it. All of our pieces are cut out, and that is it for this week. And next week we will start sewing our leather jackets. See you guys then.